I mean, it's wildly different now. I mean, there's so much more content now because so many more people have gotten into it. You've got so many more worlds. There's tons of new worlds every day. You got I mean, even for the people that are looking for public avatars, there's just tons of people putting out public avatars now. I haven't put any public avatars out in a while, but I should.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion. And today Raptor is working, so he's not going to be with us. But I am here joined by our guest.
Hello.
Oh,
I'm Ikewulf.
Thank you very much for joining us, Ike. It's a great pleasure to have you on. What are you known for here in Vrchat, and how did you get started with all of this?
I think I'm probably known for mostly for probably being a guy that likes to go hang out and party at clubs and likes to make stuff. Kind of just make whatever I feel like. you know, I like to 3D model and use Substance Painter, and I just enjoy creating things and then using those things in VR and having a good time and sharing those things with other people, I suppose.
Okay. So what pulled you into Vrchat and on the train of making things? Where did all of this begin?
So I want to say it was 2018. I was about to buy a new PC, and I hadn't really thought about Vrchat in particular, but I wanted something with the capability of being able to run a VR headset. So at the time, Valve Index wasn't out yet. It was just Vive Pro, and that was like kind of top of the line at the time. And so I picked up PC, picked up a Vive Pro, and at that time you had to get the OG Vive kit with it. So I got an OG Vive kit, and then the Vive Pro headset was standalone. You needed it so you could have the controllers and the base stations and everything. And I got that, and I set it up and started messing around in VR. I guess Vrchat wasn't really that big at that point in time. It was something you kind of sometimes would see some memes, like on let me turn that audio link on my glasses off. Actually, that's probably distracting. But you kind of see some memes and stuff. But you wouldn't it wasn't like what it is now. And my whole goal about getting a VR headset for myself was I had been going through stuff with my spine. I had some major surgery on my spine, and for a long time. I want to say probably since around 2014, I had been having mobility issues, and I had a messed up spine and everything. I'm a gamer and everything like that, but I mean the whole thing with my spine kind of took my social life away from me, and I basically was just in my apartment all the time, and that's all. Unless I was going to a medical appointment, all I saw were the walls of my apartment and any medical appointment or errand that I would run or go to. And I guess I hadn't really considered the Vrchat portion of it, but I kind of thought to myself, because video games were sort of my my escape from my apartment. I kind of thought, I saw, there's Skyrim VR, there's Fallout VR, there's all these games that there's games that I already love that were being ported into VR, and I was like, it would be nice to just be able to go sit on top of a mountain, go to Mars or something, you know what I mean? And so I didn't even I was planning on doing all that stuff solo, and I got the VR headset, and I did get into things like that for a bit, and then one day I go, okay, well, there's Vrchat, that's free, I may as well try it. And back then it was kind of like the Wild West, you'd get on, and it was the old world. You remember the old hub thing that they had, and they would have the featured avatar or whatever, and the little sort of it was different when you first start. I don't even know what it's like when you first start Vrchat now, but back then you had the whole little tutorial world thing, and then it kind of puts you into this pipeline of go find an avatar and then go somewhere. And back then everybody hung out at the pug, And I mean, as one would expect, it was just absolute chaos. Like there's it was kind of the Wild West. There's like there were no safety settings. There was like people would some people would just have these insane avatars. You go, wow, look at that. Like I kind of got hooked on it. But then I guess back in 2018 there weren't that many users, and it was kind of like I could sit there some nights and just be like, I think maybe once every couple of months I would get on and just like go sit and watch the chaos go past at the Great Pug, and then then I go back to whatever else I was doing, and I think it really VRChat really grew when the pandemic hit, and for me it kind of like changed the landscape of it a bit. From what I had remembered before, because like for me, I was already using VR as a way, even playing solo games as a way to feel less isolated or trapped in my house, and like so suddenly everybody else was experiencing something that I had been experiencing for years, being sort of stuck at home due to my physical disability. Like all these other people were suddenly stuck at home for other reasons, and so they all kind of were wait a minute, VR exists, and they all, so you had this huge influx of people, and it became a much bigger sort of like social like realm. It wasn't just small handfuls of players anymore. It was really growing in numbers, and so it made it a much broader experience, because VRChat is made, everything in VRChat is created and uploaded by people play VRChat, so you just had this really broadening realm of like experiences available within VRChat that even probably eclipse some of the standalone VR games that you could buy when VR was first catching on. Like some of those old games, I look at them compared to what you could do with VRChat, and I'm like, wow, how did this make money? Probably didn't.
Oh, I can.
So yeah, that's. I think that's how I got in.
Okay. I can very much understand with that notion of lots of things in VRChat seem to do a lot better than some of the regular standard VR games. Like I'll use Gorn, for example. For what it is, it's great.
Oh my goodness, Gorn.
But there is some VRChat worlds, like with fighting and boxing, the avatars look better, the worlds look better, the mechanics run a little smoother, so I can definitely understand that notion personally. So what got you into creating things in here in VRChat and the Leaky Hole that we're in as well? How did all this spawn and come to be?
Well, I think so that probably I guess that probably started in, I want to say, like late 2020, early 2021. Like I had been spending more time in VRChat, and I mean, kind of how the pipeline is. Like you start out using public avatars, and you're hanging out in public worlds and stuff like that, and you got all sorts of options publicly, but at a certain point you want to like be more unique, and like at that, like you see all these furries around, and they're all like some cute little fucking bunny rabbit, or like they're all like like I saw so many furry avatars that just didn't really suit me, like, and then there was not really like, as far as like the human type avatars, there was just like, I mean, if you wanted to wear an avatar that isn't like a twinkie smooth e-boy, you're just out of luck, right? Well, and even at the beginning of VRChat, I remember like back in 2018, finding a male avatar at all was impressive. If it wasn't a meme type avatar, you could be Kermit the Frog if you wanted to be male, but like, so I kind of like found myself in this position where it was just like, okay, none of these avatars quite suit me. I want a bear. I need something that's more chunky and hairy and masculine. I'm not an e-boy. I'm not a femboy. I'm not like just I couldn't feel comfortable in a lot of the avatars that I was seeing like publicly available. So at that point I was kind of looking into commissioning an avatar avatar, like I was thinking, oh, well, I could get one, I could get a bear, I could get somebody to build me a bear, and like I want all these things that they would be cool. And around that time, I found this avatar. This is one of the first avatars I bought. I think the first couple of avatars I bought. Well, I think all the avatars I bought are furry avatars, but that's. But this one in particular is like, okay, it's a bear. This is what I want. And I mean, you know how avatars are. They're not. I don't know if you work on avatars yourself, but I mean, they're all. Avatars are very personal, right? And then when you get into working on them, it becomes even more a matter of like how much are you willing to put up with for because some avatars are not well made, some avatars are really well made, but there's sort of everything in between, so you have like stylistic considerations, but then how good is that topology? Like, I mean, there's all sorts of a give and take with avatar bases, like and individual taste. So it was just sort of like, and with this avatar, and I really liked it. And so I was like, oh great, I don't need to pay someone to make me a nice masculine bear. I found one, and then there was limitations with the clothing and stuff available with this avatar as well, and so I think that's kind of where I really got started making stuff, was just making clothing and altering textures and stuff like that. Obviously, I think most people probably start with altering their textures. They just take an avatar, and a lot of times people will use something like GIMP or like Krita, and they'll just use a PSD, and I guess that's the way it always used to be done. And I did that too. Just like, you're like, oh no, I gotta put this there on this. You take the texture and you put it into you take that PSD and you alter it. But then it became apparent to me how limiting that was, because you've got an avatar that's you're just changing the color on the texture. You're not considering things like normals and lighting and how that plays off your avatar. So then I, was moving from messing around with just PSDs to going into Substance Painter, and so I got myself Substance Painter, and at that time I also started, I'd been messing around in Blender, and at first I was just like altering other people's objects, and eventually I kind of realized that this is exactly the kind of thing that my brain's already good at doing. I have a background with like doing other types of like making real world things that in 3 dimensions. So I have a background in thinking that way already. And I just kind of went, oh, wait a minute. I really just need to like take the time to learn this program and how to use it and how to use the tools within it. My brain already knows how to build stuff, or like I can see in my brain how I feel like things should fit together. Like like I can draft a pattern for like but I'm old. I'm older. I'm in my 40s, but I so like if you wanted to like make something, you didn't have a program to like draw your blueprints out or your patterns on in a computer. Back when I was young, you got out your technical ruler. Like I got fancy ruler with and you got to use a special pencil on it, or else you can't make the marks, because you've got your a millimeter makes a difference, and you've got this technical ruler and drafting rulers, and you're just doing the math in your head, and you're drafting that out, and you have to know, okay, this is how this piece is supposed to fit together. And I think that's how we ended up with something like for example, this chair. Like this chair here, I modeled this chair based on a Herman Miller chair. They funny enough, they have 3D models of this chair on their website, but I looked at their 3D models, and their 3D models are hot trash, and I was just like, yeah, not using that. So but they had blueprints like on their website for the chairs too, and Like, I went in there and took those exact measurements and translated that stuff into Blender, and I made a low poly version of the chair that doesn't look low poly, but it sure is low poly. And it's just like, that's just me being able to go, this is how things should fit together, and then learning to use Blender to do the same thing, and going, okay, it's just like a matter of like learning how to do what you're trying to do. And the more fluent that you become with a program, like the easier it becomes. It's like, I feel like it's kind of like riding a bicycle in some ways, but it's also like one of those things where it's like, I feel like people that are trying to get into Blender, sometimes they go backwards, and I feel like that's probably maybe what boosted me ahead to move faster than some of my people that like got into it at the same time as me and they have trouble understanding it. They're trying to work backwards. They're going, I want this result for VRChat, and how do I do that in Blender? Versus going, how do I use Blender? You know what I mean? Like, you can't, like, they've got their goal that's way over here, but they need to like learn these basics first. And some people really resist learning the basics. They're like, they don't care to like learn the muscle memory to just click here and click that, and you press this. Like there's a part of your brain that just remembers how to do a function if you do it enough times. And I feel like that's why it's really worth like going through the basics and just, they'll go look up a tutorial. I'm going to build this thing for VRChat, and they'll look up a VRChat tutorial instead of like how to Blender. You know what I mean? And so, like, I when I realized that, that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm just going to get some courses that are just for Blender, and I'll just start learning how to use Blender. And I got to the point where I really realized that this is my favorite part, is actually 3D modeling and then texturing something. For me, that's very satisfying, because I could just imagine an object and then make it, and then drop that into Substance Painter and make some really good textures, and that really make it pop and look more real. And then you got stuff like that's how you get the leaky hole. That's how I got all the clothes I'm wearing. That's like, that's how I got my chair. I have another fun toy on here. Hold on, this is okay. So I got a new system thing. There we go. I got this new system it's a new slightly ball toy. How do I drop it? I don't know how to drop it. That's the problem. So I got this new slightly ball toy. I haven't actually tested it yet. There's got to be how do I drop the thing?
Is it a gesture?
I'm not sure if it's a gesture. It's something that I'm supposed to be able to drop. So this is a new slightly ball thing where I'm supposed to be able to let's see, enable, is that it? There we go. It's just enable. Okay. So this is a new like slightly ball system, but Slightly is who made like just like slightly ball, but they just came out with this like yesterday, which is like throw a ball. But this guy right here, this pumpkin, and I haven't actually played with this yet. This is the first time I've played with it. But this pumpkin and the particles I made from scratch. But this system is like a bouncy ball system. Like so I made this pumpkin here. This is like one of the fun, like I don't know, sometimes I feel like making things that to me they seem like doodles. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's something that a lot of people should be doing more of when it comes to like making stuff for VRChat, or just like, it's like an exercise, right? Like, I mean, it's not like some big elaborate thing or something. It's just a little pumpkin, right? But that's like a little bit of time in Blender. So you make you practice making a really simple object, and then you like take that and you drop it into Substance Painter, and then you make the texture for it. Or in this case, I believe this is an atlas, or a texture atlas that I used for this, and just did my UV unwrapping to suit the atlas. And then and then the bat particles. That's another doodle exercise. That's a little animation I made with a sprite. Well, it's just one sprite, so that's it looks, you get animated particles, right? More just practice for something that's silly. Like I get a silly little ball that apparently I'm terrible at throwing. I think here's a force button here. Let's see. Let's turn the force up. Let's see. Okay, that's better.
That's pretty cool.
But like, yeah, like, well, and I just wanted to, so just little things like that, little things like this, and just people love them. Like, yeah, yeah, we play catch with a pumpkin. Oh, if I could throw harder, there we go. Turn the force up on it. But yeah, so I mean, just like little toys are fun to make. Like stuff like like things like glasses, and in this case for the world, for the leaky hole. Here, let's put this away. It's not too distracting. It does have a tennis ball though, so this gives me power over canine type furries. But like just or like even like this too. This was just kind of an extra. So the chair, like I made a set of chairs and like couches, the sort of based on a Herman Miller line of furniture that are really. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a modular furniture set that fits really well in like any kind of situation. Like since it's modular, there's different shapes and everything like that, so you can fit around a corner, you can fit around a curve, you can make a circle, you can make like a long double-sided bench, like you can make a lot of different shapes with it. And so I was like, okay, just model that. But then I modeled that, and I had that for Worlds, and I was like, okay, well, like I've got some people that like they boost my server, they come to my parties or whatever, been friends with me for a long time. And so, I kind of like have a little supporter channel. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to take one of those chairs and I'm going to redo the UVs, and then I'm going to add a place for your cigar to go, and like just again, just like a little doodle. It's like, okay, made an ashtray and a everything, and then slapped it on the same object and made a special chair, avatar chair, instead of just one that you could drop in your world, and then made a little package so that people could easily install it, just followed instructions, they could drop it right on their avatar, no problem, now they got a chair. Like, 'cause sometimes there's no chair and you need a chair. I have that problem a lot. So, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah. And the leaky hole here, this was something that I made as basically a birthday gift to myself, because I'd kind of messed around with world creation before, but kind of when you're going back and forth between avatar stuff and world stuff, you can kind of spread yourself a little bit too thin. So I often bite off more than I could chew. I want to do more than I have time for. But it was like for this, it was like like at that point I was like, you know what, I have enough skills that I can make a world where almost everything in it is something that I've made from scratch. There are some exceptions here, like we've got the DJ decks that Electro made, or like there's some 7-segment panels that are involved with the lighting effects that Iron Biscuit made, and obviously like the video player and is Architect and On video player. So those are things I didn't make all by myself, but I mean, those are kind of standard, just drop it in. Like, I'm not going to spend my time making a whole ass new video player when there's already great options available, because it'd be kind of a waste of my time, But like everything else here is just like, no, let's make this look good. Let's make it look good for somebody with OLEDs, because I find like some types of lighting are really harsh, because I do use OLED headset that, like, using, say, like an Index or a Quest, they don't feel like the lighting's harsh somewhere, but for anybody with an OLED, it's like, oh, you're blinding me. So I kind of wanted to move in a different direction, so we don't have any real-time effects in here. So there, aside from like the water depth, but that's not like, there's no real-time lighting. It's all baked lighting, and then we have the LTCGI, which is a really great system, which is what gives you that great reflection of the screen off of, like, if you got an enabled shader, like it can reflect off your glasses, or reflects off the walls, or anything smooth. And I just kind of wanted a place that could fit all my friends and have a good party in. So that's how this came to be, and then it got popular somehow. I don't know what happened there, but hey, if people like partying here, I'm glad that I'm glad that people find it an enjoyable environment to listen to music and have a good time in. Like that was the goal. So.
Okay. So I got a few questions actually, and I'll start with when you first hopped into VRChat, did you expect yourself to be as ingrained in the community as you are now with everything you're involved with?
No, absolutely not. I'm. Yeah, I mean, I can tell how I will sometimes come off as extroverted, just because, especially if I've been drinking, I'm a jolly drunk, which is its own problem. But but I'm kind of realistically, I'm kind of introverted, and to some extent, like doing stuff in VR chat does like wear down my social battery. But I mean, I also, I'm also real familiar with the alternative to that, and that is like before I had VR, like being primarily stuck at home. Like I can definitely, manage to, like, now that it took them a while to get me a chair, but now that I do have a chair, I can go out in the public and go like I used to be kind of a party animal IRL when I was in my 20s. So I mean, I could still go out and do that now that I have the chair, but I mean, like it's so much easier to have like a social life in a community in VR chat. Having my mobility disability, everything is just easier when I have access to the things that I need. Like for example, my right where you are in my real world space is where my walker is sitting if I want to stand up. Or like if I go to use my restroom, I know that I've got my grab bars. Also, the liquor's a lot cheaper, and if I pass out, I'm already home. Though I try not to get that hammered, but sometimes the parties get a little wild. It is Friday night too, so like I mean, I feel and in general, because of my physical disability and that vulnerability that I have, what if I want to go be social, and if I only could do it IRL, I am inherently putting myself in a position where my vulnerability is going to put me in a little bit more danger than it is somebody else. I do look like I'm the salt. Like if you saw me in person, you'd be like, yeah, that's the kind of guy that would. He might lose the fight, but he's gonna hurt you as much as possible on the way down. You know what I mean? Like I don't look like that kind of cripple, I guess. That's gonna just like I'm not gonna be a pushover, but I mean at the same time I don't want to have to go through that. Like I don't want to have to like deal with trying to like push my way through a crowd or whatever, with a chair or like sometimes people don't even mean to hurt you, but they do because they don't see you, so they bump into you, they fall on you. Or in my case with my spine, sometimes people that I've been friends with for years, they see me out in public and they're at the bar and they're excited and they're drunk and they're like, "Oh, Ike, it's Ike!" And they'll come over and they give me the big drunk hug, and they like my spine is just like I'm like screaming. I'm like, they're bending me in a way that doesn't hurt because they're trying to like love me too hard. And I mean that's kind of a like in VR chat, if I'm going through the same kind of thing, if I show up and someone's real excited to see me, they could be excited all around me and near me and everything like that, and they're not going to accidentally bump into me and hurt me. I want to go dance at the club if I'm like I just feel like listening to some music tonight and just like tuning everybody out. Like I can go into shelter and turn voices down and just stand there, and I got my walker and I can dance. If people get in my space or whatever, they're not gonna bump into me. They're not gonna knock me over. They're not gonna send me to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like so. I feel like knowing that alternative, it's like, okay, I've spread myself a bit thin, wear down my social battery a bit by being involved in the community, but like it's the alternative is like having much less social contact available to me. And so yeah, I didn't really see myself here, but that's where we're at. So,
So from the sounds of it, VR has been a really huge boon in an addition to your life. From the sounds of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I kind of knew it would be like even before I considered like VR chat specifically. I knew that VR in general was going to be helpful for me just in my life. Like I feel like this is not an experience that I have, you know, by myself. Like, and I think there's probably studies out there that, you know, indicate that just giving VR headsets to people that are homebound or for whatever reason, whether it's like they're elderly and frail or physically disabled or what have you, like VR allows people that are normally going to just be stuck at home a way to kind of leave home. And you know, you get, you know, and with like you know, depending on somebody's level of disability, this could even be somebody that like can't even move their arms, you know, like you know, you have somebody else operate the controls for you, or if somebody has some neck movement, you can bind certain types of controls to the head as well. So like you created an experience where someone who is stuck in bed looking at the ceiling all day long can suddenly go to a club or go walk through a forest, or you know, like all these different things. And I mean, also like just for in terms of like physical health and stuff like that, like I feel like VR is also there's at least one group that uses VR for physical therapy, and there's a lot of ways that you can do it. Like, because I mean, generally, if somebody is you know, physically disabled, they end up being more sedentary, but like playing VR, you get more movement. Like, I mean, just even sitting here having a conversation with you, like I'm moving my arms and the rest of my body, and I'm more physically engaged with my body than I would be if I'm just like sitting there playing an MMO. You know what I mean? Because they're playing an MMO, I'm moving about this much, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, but in VR chat, like you dance in your party in, or even just talking to people, you're moving your body more. And then when you get games like, where you can adjust them for accessibility, like Beat Saber, or like even just like using that Google Tilt Brush program is really good for like doing like range of motion, because you can save your file on that program. So if you're doing like your arm range of motion exercises and you're holding down that button, it's making a spiral, right? And then you could save that file, and then you do your range of motion exercises again, and then you could see how much your range of motion has been increasing over the amount of time that you've been doing your therapy. You could see in a real 3-dimensional, look how much more I can move my arm than I could before. You know, so in terms of stuff like that, you've also got you know, benefits and just being able to be somewhere aside from your apartment or the hospital, man. I'm just, you know, like it's definitely a morale improving thing. Yeah.
I can very much understand that. I'm sure a lot of people during COVID can very much understand that without seeing a hospital, your apartment, or work. If you had the luxury of working, I'm sure most people watching can empathize with that statement, most definitely.
Right. Yeah, I think COVID definitely changed people's views on what VR is good for. I think it kind of like opened some people's eyes up to sides of it they hadn't necessarily thought about before. And I think that's definitely a good thing. I know there's all the naysayers like, oh, VR, it's too niche, it's a dying thing, and I'm just like, you're not hanging out in VR chat. You haven't seen like you haven't seen just how much is possible, and like been able to imagine more. Like, I mean, anybody that thinks it's niche is either somebody that hasn't tried it, like in earnest. Maybe they put on a headset once or twice but didn't really do much, or there are people that just for whatever reason like can't get down with VR at all. Like, so I know some people have like nausea issues, and I do feel for those people, but I mean, that's not going to stop me from enjoying what's available. Like, they can get in on desktop mode. Maybe it's different, but they could still come join the party, you know.
Well, first, when I see those articles for like VR is dead, they're always mentioning platforms such as Horizon Worlds. It has like 200 congruent users. Decentraland, I believe it's a desktop only kind of thing
Oh,
with like less than
yeah.
100 people in it. Platforms like that are the ones that they go to. I don't think they even think to coming here, or they could just be refusing to come here. At least what it seems anyway.
I think it would ruin their article. It would ruin their article if they had to look at VRChat. They're like, oh, you have to write this article about how VR sucks. I better not mention VRChat, or else people are gonna notice that maybe it's kind of cool. Like, that doesn't even get into like some of the other amazing things that you can use VR headsets for. Like, like you can use VR headsets for. Like, I mean, there's programs out there where people are using it for 3D modeling. That's not my workflow. I prefer to use Blender because I don't want to have to retopologize everything to death, and I like nice, clean, crisp measurements for hard surface modeling. So Blender is going to be better for me in that sense. But I mean, there are people that are doing a whole, like I believe that this model actually itself is something that was partially done in VR. It like yeah, I mean, and then you have people that have certain types of blindness. um they can actually see when you put a VR headset on them. Like, it's only certain types of blindness. I'm not an expert on this, so I don't know exactly which types, but I know that there are certain types of blindness where somebody normally can't see much. If you put on a VR headset, because the focal distance is so much closer to their eyes, they're able to see. And so, I mean, for somebody like that, I mean, VR would also be kind of like life changing. Like, they can't normally see what's going on, but you get them in here, and they can watch a movie. Like, they could see it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Or like so. I mean, there's just I don't know. It's the way that people. It may be niche right now, but it's not going to be that way forever. There's like people that are here, people that spend time in VR and stuff like that. Like, can see how powerful this medium is, and like it's really kind of still in its infancy. Like, it's already so amazing, and we're just getting started with
Oh.
it, you know?
Oh yeah, hands down. Well, even think about the power of what kind of influence VR has. Think about the typical new player pipeline. You either start on desktop or a Quest. You then get your own avatar. After that, you end up working towards full body. Then you start editing your avatar, or you build worlds, or you start working on making videos. And from there, VR chat then becomes a cool place you visit to a sandbox. Right? As soon as you pick one of those three facets, the game changes entirely.
Right, yeah. I think that's definitely something about VR chat, is that when you people go, okay, how many hours have you spent in this game or that game? And like, there's only one game that even compares to my number of hours in VR chat, and that's Dota. I stopped playing Dota. And I thousands of hours in Dota. But you know what? I like, at the end of the day, what do I have to show for my time spent playing Dota, right? I mean, sure, it was fun, and sure, like, gave me some entertainment, along with like also being the most enraging game anybody could ever play. So maybe it also gave me an anger problem. I don't know. But when I stopped playing that, like, and started focusing way more on stuff that I'm doing here, like, you're learning an actual skill, right? Like now I know how to 3D model and texture things relatively competently. Like, which, I mean, what other game like turns into real life creative skills, right? Well, and there's so many ways that people can like express their creativity here. You can get into like texturing and modeling. You can get into like coding things for like udon, or like doing logic like that, like this, like the person that made this toy. That's some like that's like Slightly has done a lot of work here to make this logic work. Like, that's something that's like a real. Let me throw terribly for the camera. Hey, check it out. Look at how weak ass throw. I'm cripple, it's fine. But like you end up with these real skills like texturing, animating, C#, or like working with Unity, or like there's all sorts of like other ways that people are like like getting creative, like you mentioned, like doing videos and stuff like that, and like I've seen all sorts of like music videos and like like sort of short format like videos for like TikTok or whatever. So much of that going on. Like it's people thinking creatively, or even people making props just for like one little video, like they'll make a whole ass prop and just be like, I made a version of this avatar that has like Barbie colors and Barbie logos and Mattel logos all over it for a rave that lasted 2 hours. Like I just turned myself into to Ken Bear for a 2-hour event. Like spent like why? Because I'm gonna go to the Barbie dream house. I'm gonna be dressed for the occasion, right? Like like well, and speaking of that, like the music scene, like look at all these people that are getting really creative and they're getting pulled into like like playing music. Like people go, oh, I want to be a DJ. Like so they start DJing in VRchat. They start learning to DJ for VRchat, and like on the other side of that is like I got bullied. I've been bullied into playing modular synthesizers in VR. Like I might be the only person that's ever played a theremin in VR. In VR chat. It's possible someone else has done it, but stuff like that. Like, and it's all just because hanging out in the music scene, and people be like, "Oh, Ike, you have these instruments. Well, you have to play for us then." And then there was like when I say bullying, I don't mean like real bullying, but they're giving me as much shit as possible. Be like, "When are you gonna play? When are you gonna play? When's you gonna play a set? When's your set? Where you're on the poster next week, right? We're gonna put you on the poster next week, right?" Like they just kind of like they like bullied me to the point where I eventually got myself the appropriate gear to be able to like plug all of my instruments in to be able to actually do a stream with it. So now I don't just make stuff. I also apparently go push buttons and turn knobs, and sometimes people dance. like all is creativity. It's amazing how much VRchat brings that out in people.
I can very much agree. I think it's probably one of the biggest selling points for VRchat. What other game can you say you can go in for a night, next thing you know, you're in a random world, and now you're producing music on Fruity Loops 2 months later? No game in existence can say that story. No game can say you can go in, you're playing freeze tag, and the next thing you know, you're now an indie video game developer for VRchat making some other random game. No game out there can have that claim.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I think that's what you start getting when you really start sticking around VRchat. Like when people first start playing, they've got the whole public world problem, right? Like I still okay, so what does my friend call it? Sometimes it's a little game we like to play. Go into public worlds and then turn off all your safety settings. I think he calls it raw dogging. And like you go in there and there's like there's people shrieking racial slurs, and like there's some kid that's clearly too young to be there just screaming, and like like it's, and then there's some chill person just kind of chilling out, like they're like yep, this is happening around me, but they haven't they're either somebody that's there doing the same thing going, let's go watch the chaos, or there's somebody that hasn't found their way into like the more like private club, or the non-public instances side of VRchat. Like we all started there. We all started out going to publics and enduring that before we figured out like how cool there's amazing shit going on,
Oh yeah. I think it's a very common thing for people to be adopted by a veteran VRchat player. Did you know these really cool things are going on? Do you want to learn to do VRchat filming? Guess what? I have a community for you. The next thing you know, you're on an adventure because someone's like, hey, we have a similar interest, and off you go. And I think it's I think you do have to do public roulette for a while until you find your friend group to get you into the non-hazing portion of VR chat. I don't know what else to call the beginning stages other than hazing.
The hazing.
Hello, I'm going to quickly interrupt your video. Please come follow us on any of our socials. We have a card down that way in the description, Metaversedegen card.co. You can find us on Discord. You can find us on Twitter, which X, whatever. Right here in this space, you'll see the @ you can find me, Lion. And as well, we have a Patreon, which we've started a whole other show as a thank you for those who've signed up, such as Training Fangs, Forbidden Zero, and Niche. So thank you all for watching the video on how these games are going. I'll leave you to the rest of it. Enjoy.
Yeah, the Ugandan knuckles hazing. How many sexy Kermits have you seen lately?
You know, I do have a question for you. Since you said you've been here since around 2018, 2017 through now, what is your opinions on how much VRChat has changed over time from when you started to now?
I would say it changed massively. I mean, back then, I guess I wasn't, like, back in 2018, I wasn't, like, going to any kind of private instances, really. At that time, I wouldn't play that often. It was one of those things where I would go, okay, if I put this headset on, I know I'm gonna be sitting here for, like, 5 hours, you know, and I'll stay up real late. I mean, it didn't really matter because, you know, I was stuck at home anyway, so I kind of get to make my own schedule. The only thing I have to, like, be conscious about is when I have, like, medical appointments and stuff like that. Other than that, like, everything else is, I can sleep when I want to, I can work when I want to, I can do whatever at any time. So it was like, okay, I pop on this headset, and, you know, I'd get in and there'd just be like, find an avatar that didn't make me feel completely weird to wear. I don't know how some of these guys are like like they're like straight masculine dude and they're wearing some like titty e-girl and I'm like, okay. You know? like no. So I think for a while I was wearing a Jake the dog avatar because it was a guy. You know, and you know, like I would just go to like, just, you know, everybody was at the pub. There wasn't really, I mean, this was even before the black cat was a thing, so everybody was at the pug. And then it would just be, you know, madness, like, you know, but it would still be, it kind of had that similar element that where you would end up with people hanging out there that, like, you get into a good lobby and, like, everybody's chilling, people are just having good conversations, and, you know, you're at the pub, you're at a bar, so some people would be drinking, and, I mean, it's just in general being social, or people would go up the stairs and go up onto that little stage and start singing into their mics or whatever. It was just like, oh yeah, it's cool. It's just kind of vibing out. And I mean, but at that time there was no safety settings either, and so sometimes you're just having a good time vibing out, and then suddenly you're crashing, and it's just like, wow, okay, done with that. And then, you know, like, so you get, you know, that didn't happen too often back then, but then, you know, that sort of increased, and they eventually, like, put in safety settings and all that, and, like, they added the user ranks, like trust ranks and whatnot, and you know, and for you know, I mean, it's wildly different now. I mean, there's so much more content now because so many more people have gotten into it. You've got so many more worlds. There's tons of new worlds every day. You got, like, I mean, even for the people that, you know, are looking for public avatars, there's just tons of people putting out public avatars now. I haven't put any public avatars out in a while, but I should. I've been thinking about dropping a couple that are sort of like redbearisle or like Leaky Hole club themed for people that show up and they've got like something that's wildly unoptimized, to be like, yo, you can't wear that if you don't have something else. Try one of these, you know, like, but you know, you get this. There's so much more going on. You have huge music festivals happening. You have all sorts of different social clubs based on all sorts of different things, and, like, I mean, you could go like you could go to the gym and exercise with a group of people. Like, there's multiple, like, fitness groups where they're just exercising, and you know, or you could join groups where they're primarily just like a social group where they just go play games together on a certain night per week, or, you know, like let alone get into like the numerous amounts of like like clubs where people are just drunk somewhere. Like there's lots of that. Or the club scene is just massive. Like so like I guess I don't think I would have ever thought that I would end up playing like live synthesizer music in VR, but I mean, there's a couple of clubs that do it. Like you get used to seeing all these DJs, and that's actually something I actually thought about. I was like, oh, everything's DJs, everything's EDM, and I was like, I always go, okay, where's the dive bar with the fucking? I wanna listen to some metal. Like not like DJ metal. I want to listen to some fucking like some like let's go with some like fucking live doom metal. But I mean, there's obviously logistical problems to that happening because like for that you practically need the band all in the same room, so you couldn't like like so that you don't see too much. But sometimes you see somebody that's just like gonna go play their guitar, like some solo guitar singing somewhere, or like I mean, but the modular music scene is like, damn, here we go. Like we got like Modular Monday, and then like Intermodal also does or a modular, like a live synth set, and it's like so you're starting to see more and more types of like experiences that are out there. Like the more that the community grows, the more different stuff that there is, because we make it all. Like this isn't stuff that VRChat makes for us. We make it. Like. So.
It sounds like you're more excited for where VRChat is now or going rather than where it was.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I don't know if the people that originally developed VRChat had any idea that it would get to where it is now. Like, I mean, I kind of wonder if it's not a situation where VRChat just happened to like be first out the gate. But I mean, like, it's the internet. Like we have always used it to like connect with other people even before VR. Like I mean, this goes back to even prior to like using IP protocol. People used the old BBS systems and stuff like that to just be social. And so I mean, it seems like something that would be like a no-brainer. It's like VR. Well, you could sit in the same room as your buddy, and I mean that's exactly what we all experience. We come here, we get in our full body, and we're just hanging out. We're just hanging out together, but it's so visceral, Like it's more real. And people love it. Like.
Okay. So on another question of then versus now, is optimization of like avatars or worlds better now, or was it better back in the day?
I guess that's a hard one to answer. I think it's probably one of those things where it's like the amount of content has maybe made things get a little bit worse. But we do have safety settings now. So back then, if something was unoptimized, you were just stuck with it, and unless you went to a different, like unless you left that lobby or something, and you went somewhere else, right? But now that we have safety settings, like you can go to a party and somebody can be wearing their 250,000 polygon avatar with insane amounts of fucking textures or whatever on it, materials and all that, and I could just turn that off. Like there's a couple of models. Whenever I see somebody wearing it, I just instantly go, I'm familiar with how bad that model is, and I just block that avatar from showing ever. Because some people like right now I'm wearing a very poor, which is actually, I figure because it's just you and me, but my very poor compared to somebody else's very poor, like I think is probably a wild difference. This one's very poor because I got a couple of extra toys on it. Like I got my my graffiti can, like so I got a very poor primarily because of all the particles involved with being able to spray paint on the wall. But so I also like tend to try to keep things poor or better on my avatars. And then people go, oh, but I want this outfit and that outfit and all these things. And it's like, just make a couple of different versions of the same avatar with your different outfits on. Like that way you could wear whatever outfit you want, but still be poor or better. And some people just can't be bothered to do that. And also I've noticed this is especially egregious and with certain like e-boy, e-girl avatars. Like the way that those bases work is like different than the way that a lot of furry bases work. Like a lot of furry bases are like, here's the whole package, here's some, it's got some clothes on it, and still you could still add a bunch of crap to your furry avatar and make it awful. But like a lot of the e-girl, e-boy avatars, they're all using the same like base model and then just putting a bunch of different clothes and a bunch of other different assets on it and then selling that as a whole new package. And so you'll see some of these avatar creators just slapping a whole bunch of crap onto an avatar and then slapping it up on Gumroad and like giving it some edgy name or something, and then and then people go, oh, that's got the hairstyle and the clothes I want, I'm buying that. And then they use that avatar and they're like 500,000 polygons and so many materials and so much crap that they aren't ever gonna, like, sometimes it's crap that they're never going to use. Like they're like they bought it for this one outfit and this hairstyle or whatever, and they got all these other, and they're like, oh, but I got all these clothes, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, which ones do you wear? And so you end up with these bloated avatars that just have too much stuff on them they don't really need. Like and with that, like, I would say just because of volume, because there's so many more people, and you're always going to have a certain amount of people that aren't thinking about optimizing their avatar. They're just thinking about putting more cool toys on their avatar, or more clothing or more whatever. And so you do end up with a lot of people that are more unoptimized just because of that. But luckily now we've got more settings, and it sounds like they're adding more. We can now block people by their unpacked size and not just their packed size, not just their download size, but their unpacked size as well. And hopefully that'll push people to be more conscious of optimizing. Like generally, I've found I can have with that new setting, I've found that I personally, I'm running an old card, I'm running in a 1080 Ti. I've found that I personally can have very poors turned on even in an instance between like 70 and 80 people, using that new setting to limit the unpacked size. And hopefully we'll get more settings like that that'll allow people to like choose based on what in particular is their biggest performance hit, like, because not all our cards are the same. Some of us have more VRAM than others. So
you mentioning that about avatars and all the options to have, we were having a conversation with a few other folks, and one of the things that was brought up is a lot of the options in avatars, all the clothes, all the different color options, the toys, the things, a lot of that stems from public avatars. Since if you don't buy your own, a lot of public avatars, for the longest time, and still now, people want options. They want ability to change the shirt or change the pants or change the hair if they so choose, because they want to buy it. And a lot of those avatars and that kind of style kind of stem from that whole dichotomy, the public avatar thing.
Yeah. Well, and people that don't have the skills, people that don't have the skills to customize it, like, and don't necessarily want to pay somebody else. Like if you go and you buy like an avatar, like you go buy a Protegen or something like that, you got all the color wheels and all the different things, right? Like a lot of times those are just for people that don't otherwise know how to like customize their avatars. So yeah, you just give them and those are all well and good. I mean, it's everybody's got to kind of get the foot in the door somewhere, but I like to think that there would be a push for the people that are putting out those packages to also, and there are some that do also include optimized versions of the avatar. So they're like, okay, here's this one that just has one outfit on. It has a bunch of different outfit variations where it's rated medium or good. It's only got the one outfit on, and it doesn't have all the extra toys or whatever. I do like that they'll have like the very poor, because sometimes it's okay. Like if you don't have that many people around, and you want to have your cigar and your bouncy ball and your spray paint can, because it's just that kind of like like, let's smoke a blunt and spray paint on walls kind of day, you know. but you know, like this is not something that I would wear at a crowded club. Like you know, I got my mediums for clubs that are like got 70 to 80 people in them, or you know, for it's not that hard to just make an optimized version. But like I said, hopefully more of the avatar creators that are making the base packages themselves are creating some of these optimized versions and including those in the package. Unfortunately, there's still some people that are going to put everything on their avatar and then be like, why won't you show me? And I'll be like, sorry, your boobs are lagging me. Like, put them away. Like,
well,
yep.
I think that whole thing is also kind of a curse you have to deal with a bunch of self-taught kid bashers in order to have their avatars. It's just a stage I'm sure most people who work in Unity and Blender for VRChat go through. It's you at some point in time, if you put enough effort, you'll get into the optimization and making things run smooth, reducing polygon counts, merging textures. So instead of having a bunch, you have one. And it's just a part of the stage is the kit bashing stage where you're like, I want all the things, all the clothes, all the toys, all the things. I'm not even going to bother putting in Blender. I'm just going to throw it in Unity. Cook, box checks, K, upload, done. I'm sure give us maybe 10 years where a lot of the people building stuff in VRChat have time and experience. You'll see a lot less of it.
Yes, I agree. And I mean, you'll just it's again, it's just having that large number of people. You're eventually going to be seeing a lot more spend the time to actually learn and then continue. Like, I mean, there's, you know, everybody's got to start somewhere. So I mean, I'm sure that, you know, some of my old shit, when I look back at it, I'm like, God, that's so awful. Like, but I mean, it's just the persistence and wanting to learn more and do better. And there's always something more to learn. And I feel like it's just one of those things where, well, and you know, there's a kind of an incentive to learn more too. Like, the cleaner and better the results that you're creating, like the more other good creators are going to start noticing what you made, and the more just, you know, overall respect that you get within the creator community, because if you're persistent and you keep getting better and you keep improving, it's something that people notice and they go, hey, that guy's great, maybe I'd like to hire him, or maybe I would like to collaborate with him on something. And, you know, especially with the nature of some of the things that people make for VRChat, like, it's like, cool, I made a cool hat and now I've got passive income off of a hat that people like. You know what I mean? Like, so there's also that sort of, like, you know, I hate to monetize everything, but I mean, you know, why, you know, there's a certain point where it's like you start making enough cool stuff, you're like, well, why not? Why not sell like this for like this toy that I made for $2? You know, there you go, put it on Gumroad. You want to like, and that's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna have those assets anyway, and people are gonna ask me for them anyways. You just drop them, make them, like, you know, make them available. So. But, I mean, that does come with a caveat that there are a lot of people putting stuff out there that is not quite maybe ready for commercial sale, but they're going to do it anyway because the people buying it don't necessarily know better. That's how you get somebody with their million poly avatar. Like, yep.
You know, which is one of the reasons why I personally would like to see the day where VRChat, where you could buy avatars and assets and stuff, and when you purchase it, you could see all the item or avatar or world details of what you're purchasing. Kind of like if I was to click on you, to go down to avatar details, and it shows the polygon counts, it shows all that stuff.
Right.
And you could see those things. At least that way, one, you don't have to go to some sketchy website to get an avatar base that you like. Instead, you can do it from within house. And then also you have the social aspect of, hey, there's this creator I know has a world that I really think makes amazing stuff. It's very well blended. It's optimized. And then through that way, people could be tried and tested of who's good and who's not as well from right within VRChat.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think now, some of the creators are definitely putting things like polygon count and stuff like that on Gumroad. Like I don't really put too much on Gumroad myself. Like I said, most of the stuff I have up there is basically just toys that I made. But even if my pictures of them are awful, like I got that pumpkin ball, for example. Like pumpkin ball is great when you look at it, but like it's like if I've got that in when you look at the Gumroad page, it's like you could tell that I just did not give a shit about taking pictures of it. I probably will now that I've got this ball system. I'll probably take some more pictures of this being messed around with and get some of my models to like sit in front of a camera for me or something. But like do something like that. It's like okay, like I've got on the page, even though the pictures of it are just like awful pictures of like screenshots of Unity, I've still got like the polygon count and the total particle count and the material count, etc. All they're all on the page, and I even took a picture of the wireframe. Mm-hmm. So I take a picture of the wireframe in Unity, so you can see the wireframe and see how clean it looks, and decide for yourself, like like, and I feel like a lot of the good creators, that's just sort of how they do it. Like you know, I think this had a poly count and a material count listed, and yeah. But that's something I definitely look for on assets. If I'm going to buy something, especially something like that, where is it something I want to use for commissions? Because when somebody commissions me, they're like, oh, I want this gun, I need cigarettes, I need, like I need 7 t-shirts, and like they've got this list of things that they want, or like I need some custom hat or custom shirt or whatever it is that they're asking for. Like sometimes I have to go buy assets from another creator, so you're doing commissions and stuff like that. Like that's definitely something I take into account. If I go, this is cool, I would like to have it available for not just for myself, but for like commercial license. Like I want to see those polys. I want to see how many materials there is. I want to see all of that info before I buy it. It's definitely important. Like
so upon some of the final questions we're going to have for you, where do you wish to go with your avatar creation in the Leaky Hole, and even you doing live sets? Where does he wish to go?
Well, I guess in terms of like world building, like stuff like the Leaky Hole. I think the Leaky Hole is probably one of those things where it's like you don't want to mess with the formula too much. I love this as a live music space because it's simple. A lot of people will be like, oh, I'm going to add private suites and a hotel in the corner, 70 drinking games in a room off to the side. It's like, no. We do have a couple of games, and we do have a quiet area here because I do have a few friends that have like sensory processing issues that sometimes when there's a big party going on and we got like 70 people all up in here dancing and reveling and whatnot, they get a little overloaded. So we do have the room off to the side, and there's only 2 games there. We've got the pool table, the community pool table, VRC billiards, and then we got the axe throwing in there. That way there's kind of a room and the music also, if you go in there, it's a little bit quieter, but that's like the maximum of extra stuff that I want in here. Everything else about this place should be primarily focused on the music performances and like, so in terms of this world, I could see that there'll probably be some sort of quality of life updates. Like, I mean, we do seasonal stuff, so sometimes like you come in here in October, there's gonna be pumpkins everywhere. You come here in the winter, there's snowflakes and stuff like that. We had snowflakes instead of fireflies. So there'll still be like little things like that, but also like the only other stuff that I really feel like I need to do here is maybe make a better player UI panel so they can better see their options for the world and just make that. Some people go, "Where's the resync button?" And I feel like it's obvious where it is, but it's. I've also, this is something I've learned about world development. You could make a big sign that says resync button right here, and it could even be flashing neon sign. It says right here is the resync button. People are still going to ask you where it is. People go, what's that? It's like, didn't you read the thing? No, I didn't read the thing. They could be looking at it right in front of them. They won't, like some people, they see words and they just go, no, I'm not reading. And so I've learned this is a world creator that sometimes it doesn't matter how obvious you make something, someone's not going to know to click on the button that says click on me. Like, so. But I mean, that's it for like a world like this. I definitely feel like just updating the UI, maybe adding a few more toggles for like making an admin panel for people that do throw clubs here to be able to change out some of the visuals. Like we've got the water has some visuals. We got some nice mochi water over here, and we do have visuals that work on the water. But for example, in October we had blood instead of water. And there's a few people that run some events that are like, I guess, where they feel like they want blood instead of water. And they're like, could you put that on a toggle? And I was like, it's seasonal. But I mean, I might at some point make an admin panel for, anybody that's like partnered with me or works with me and has special permissions here in the club, to be able to like change those things if they want to. Other worlds, I definitely have plans for making more worlds. I've got so many plans for worlds in my head that it's like I have too much that I want to do. But I definitely feel like I will update one of my primary hangout world, which is the Green Grotto. It really needs an update, which I keep getting busy, so I haven't done it yet, or I keep getting a new commission, because when somebody pays me money, they get to the top of the list over my own personal projects, unless there's some event that I'm specifically preparing for. But so that's something that's going to get an update, and I definitely plan on making more worlds, and also more asset packs for worlds, because as I said, almost everything in here, with the exception of like the DJ decks and the speakers, which are from Electro, and the games in the other room, and then the 7-segment panels up there. Those are the only things in this world that I didn't personally model and texture from scratch. So, like, I really do enjoy the actual 3D modeling portion. So I probably will start, like, I've already got my own sort of like collection of assets, like chairs. I've made a new bed that isn't even visible. It's nowhere in VRChat yet, and got some stuff like that just I've got a lot of shit that I've made that nobody's seen yet because I haven't put it anywhere yet. So I think that I'm probably going to continue with that because I really just love 3D modeling. So making more assets like furniture and lighting and beds and just whole worlds. I'm probably going to do more of that, and eventually I would like to make just like simple worlds that people could buy, for like $20 on Gumroad. It's got the bakery lighting already baked in, and all the models in it are something that I made myself. And it's got some simple community video player like the Architectonon, the Pro TV player, or something like that. Just like a world that's already put together for people. And then, what I know people love about stuff like that is to personalize it. So just put some like picture frames in places where all they need to do is swap in a texture. And something that makes it like user friendly for people that don't know what they're doing, but everything's already in the world, and all they got to do to personalize it is add their own textures. And same thing with like these chairs like this. This one's different because it's on my avatar, but the package I have for like world building, all of the furniture, it uses the same tiled textures, so that makes it really easy for people to swap in different, if they want different upholstery or they want different wood for the legs or whatever. I kind of want to just make more really optimized, clean stuff like that, that is low poly but looks good in VR and is easily customizable for whatever situation somebody wants. So I think I'll go that direction with world building. and just asset creation for stuff to drop into worlds. For avatars, I probably will keep doing some of the stuff that I'm already doing, which is like making custom clothing, like stuff like this from scratch for models that people already enjoy. I might be one of the few people that actually makes clothing for this particular avatar, but I like it, so that's why. But I mean, I've also made some clothing for like the Winterpaw avatar that I haven't put on Gumroad yet, but I probably will at some point soon. I know you've probably seen it already on your show before. If I know you had Bad Wolfie, I don't know if he was wearing his suit, but
Yeah.
Bad Wolfie has a suit that I made for him. That's actually the older version of the suit. It's the same. I've got updated textures because between the time that I made that suit for him and now, Substance Painter had a pretty significant update that really allows me to get a lot more creative with making things look really like much more realistic in terms of normal maps and there's some pretty significant updates to Substance Painter that I'm real excited to use more, which I haven't done too much yet. Like this clothing actually uses it all. Like you can see the normal maps on that give me some nice creases and stuff like that. That's all just a new tool in Substance Painter. Rather than going from like baking from a high poly mesh to a low poly mesh, I'm able to just take a path tool and go, okay, I'm going to make fabric creases and rips right here and adjust it. So I feel like I'll probably do a hell of a lot more of that too, just continually making clothing and stuff, especially when somebody commissions me for something. When somebody goes, I'll pay you this much money to build me a custom suit, if it's good money, I'll say yes if it's an avatar that I own or they're willing to buy from me and doesn't look like hot trash, Yeah. But I want to make my own from scratch avatar at some point. I feel like that's something that I'm approaching the skill level to be. I mean, I could do I don't want to do a crappy job at it. So it's one of those things I haven't quite bitten off yet, but I think I'm kind of to the point where I've got all the skills necessary that I could build a whole model from scratch. I just haven't pulled the trigger on that yet because I'm so busy with other stuff. But I think that's something that's probably coming soon. Is that I'll start maybe I'll start small with that. I'll put out something like silly. Like a little teddy bear or something. Here's a here's a teddy bear. Go wreak havoc and be cuddly. But I would eventually like to make some more I wouldn't necessarily even just focus on furries because I've heard this from a lot of guys that are not furries and they don't want to wear a furry avatar. If they did want to wear a furry avatar, they'd probably already wearing something like the one I'm wearing. But a lot of guys that only wear like human type avatars, that they're like they have the same issue that I did, where it's like, oh, these are all twinky, smooth e-boys. Like even the e-boys that are trying to look more masculine, they just put some abs in their normal maps, and I'm like, that no, you're still a twink, Well, but there's guys out there that want more masculine avatars, and like there's a real market. Maybe it's a niche market. You're never gonna be as popular as I guess like Big Titty Anime Girl, but I mean there's guys out there with like more masculine avatars available like for them, and they're just not out there yet. The artists aren't making them yet for some reason. So
yeah, I do agree. I've heard the same thing. They're either really thin and of the particular feminine type, or they're the exact opposite and just ridiculously jacked to the point of unreasonability.
yeah like it's I mean I guess it's sort of one of those things where a lot of people play in VR chat, they want to wear an avatar that looks different than their body type is IRL, and that's fine. There are also a lot of people that want something that more closely matches their body type IRL, because and it's like there's cases to be made for both sides. Like it's to some extent like everybody's here for some level of escapism. Like, and for some people they want to escape the shape of their own body, and that's fine. But then there's some people that they just want to go party and they want to have the avatar feel like it's them, where it feels like it suits them. And if they're like a chunky hairy man and they're not a furry, they're gonna have a hard time finding an avatar. Like. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Ike, for coming on and chatting with me. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to meet you and sit across from you. So thank you for your time.
Hey, pleasure's all mine.
Yeah. So where can the audience find you if they wish to find you?
If they wish to find me, a good place to find me would be we have events here in Leaky Hole generally twice a month. The group associated with it is called redbearisle. But we're also, if you look on the vrctl, which is the timeline, I think it's vrc.tl. It literally is the website. That might be, but if you look up VRChat timeline, you will find that. And we usually put our events there, and also they will appear in like the daily roundup. So if you're looking for a way to get in, you can for the information there, and it'll usually have a link to the appropriate group and everything. And we do those like twice a month. Those events are pretty casual. So like generally that's an event where we let DJs play whatever genre they want. So those ones are pretty casual. Though we do sometimes throw special events, like where we've got specific genres. Those tend to be announced separately than the Subterranean Riot event. We may be going through a little bit of a structure change for Subterranean Riot. The times and stuff like that will all be the same for anybody trying to attend. That's one place to find me. Another place, I guess, to find me would be just out clubbing. Like I'm pretty frequently trying to. I'm a bit of a party animal. Like I'm trying to get a little exercise in. I got my walker here, so I can go to the club and go listen to some DJs and dance and not have to worry about anybody knocking me over and hurting my spine. So you might see me somewhere dancing if you like to go out clubbing. I make it around if you're just trying to say hello. But yeah, we welcome people to our events here, but we do have our rules. We ask that people be 18 plus. In general, like, not that there's anything not safe for work going on at Subterranean Riot, but we're adults and we're drinking and we're gonna say raunchy things and curse a lot. Like, it's probably like I curse like a sailor and I definitely like to party. So yeah, if you wouldn't take your kid to a bar on Friday night, you probably shouldn't take him here either. So we ask that people be 18 plus, and we do have like we're pretty relaxed with our rules, but basically they kind of come down to don't be a dick, no racism, no homophobia, etc. No bigotry. We're all here just trying to have a good time. So if you can follow those rules and be respectful and everything like that, you're probably gonna have no problems fitting in here. So
okay. Well, thank you very much again. Everything that he's mentioned and links and places I found will be in the description. Please go visit down. There's a whole bunch of cool links and stuff down there for you, as well as the world we're in and every single video. Everything's right down there. Quick and easy, straight down that way. And thank you very much. I would say Raptor do the thing, but he's not here. So
he's no Raptor here. Yeah.
No Raptor here today. So I'll do the outro this time. Pick up a skill. There's lots of people here in VR chat that'll love to chat your ear off and tell you how to do a thing. And for those working on avatars, please, for the love of God,